Welcome back to the Unpack Mindset, folks. This is Jesse. Hopefully, you guys are getting ready to have a nice weekend. So what are we going to talk about today? Um, Recently, I've been noticing that there's been people posting about LA's current election, right? And the governor's election that's coming up here in California. And I've noticed that there's been a lot of individuals that are simping, right? For their political party. And what I mean by simping is they're just basically uh, shaming people or trying to put people down or shitting on people because if they vote other than what they believe is right or is wrong, whatever, that they're kind of like betraying their own identity, right? So this isn't I'm not here to shit on Democrats or shit on anybody, right? So that's not what it's about, right? This channel isn't really a political channel, but I just kind of wanted to give you my own opinion, I guess, on what's going on here. It's kind of one of those things that it's kind of disturbing, right? Because you know I've been watching. I grew up in LA County. I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley. I grew up, you know, with different presidents, different governors, right, and different politicians, and I kind of experienced a lot, right, and I kind of wanted to talk about these individuals, these people that put people down for voting a certain way, right. So, you know, I want you guys to picture something, okay? And it's something real, and I don't know if you guys ever like follow nature or you guys ever observe something in life, right? And whether it's like an animal or something, or you observe its behavior, right? And you kind of can relate that to your own personal experiences, right? And so, I wanted to talk to you about I want you to picture this, right? Something real, something disturbing, something that makes every person stop, think, and question. So there's this parasite, right? It's called a hairworm, and what it does is it hijacks the wood cricket, right? It hijacks the wood cricket's brain and its nervous system, right? And the wood cricket, it hates water. When it's healthy, it doesn't even think twice about jumping in the water because it can't swim and it's going to drown. But what the wood cricket does is it infects this. I mean, what the hairworm does is it infects this wood cricket, and then the wood cricket ends up committing suicide. It ends up jumping in the water, and then the hairworm reproduces, and that's how the hairworm thrives, and that's how it survives, right? It needs the wood cricket to survive. Now, the wood cricket didn't choose this, right? It doesn't understand that. It simply obeys the voice inside his head, right? Now, here's the question. The one thing that should shake anyone that's been guilt tripped, right? That's been guilt tripped into ideological obedience. If a parasite can make a cricket kill itself, what kind of idea could make a human betray their own judgment, right? Their own agency, their own future, while believing that they're doing the right thing? That's the question that we're exploring tonight, folks. Because in California, we're not just dealing with policies, we're dealing with parasitic ideas, man. That hijack empathy, override logic, and convince people that thinking for themselves is somehow a betrayal of their own identity, man, or even race, right? You got these wood crickets going around telling people, "Oh, hey, you're betraying your race." That shit makes no fucking sense to me. And then those ideas take hold, right? And you got people going around behaving like wood crickets, you know. And when those ideas make you like, they silence your instincts, they override your reason, and they demand self destruction, and they punish anyone who resists, even questioning what's going on. This is where that type of empathy becomes suicidal. Just like the wood cricket, man. It's just like the wood cricket. I believe California's in a closed loop system, right? It's fed by individuals with a wood cricket mentality, man. And if you ever been told that questioning a policy means you're betraying your people, or your community or your side, then this episode is for you, man. It's for you because you're not. I don't feel like you're the bad person, right? I feel like you deserve to know when the voice in your head is yours, and when it's a parasite talking. The parasite mind isn't about being bad. It's about bad ideas using good people, man. It's like compassion means never questioning anything. Morality is measured by how loudly you signal it. If someone disagrees with you, man, they must be evil. These these ideas, they don't empower society, man. They infect it. And hold on, let me drink some water. And in California, man, I feel like it's become the operating system of the political class. Not because the people are weak, but because the system rewards emotional obedience, right, over rational independence. I'm not saying that it's bad to have empathy, folks, but there's empathy. There's the real kind, the human kind, right? And then there's suicidal empathy, right? It's the kind that demands you ignore reality to prove you're a good person. It's a mentality that says that if a policy feels compassionate, it must be good, right? Or if it fails, we need more of it, right? Or if you question it, you're betraying your community. That shit don't fly with me, man. And it shouldn't fly with anybody that that wants to think critically about what they're voting for. But this is what California ends up with: record homelessness despite record spending, rising taxes with declining services, a moral language masking political stagnation. I mean, it's not compassion, folks. It's not. You can say whatever you want, but it's not. It's performative empathy weaponized against common sense. That's all it is. I don't know, man. It's like the wood cricket isn't the predator. It's the constant noise inside the structure. That's how I see it. It's the bureaucrat who chirps ideology instead of solving problems. It's the activist administrator who cares more about optics than outcomes. It's almost like we're instead of dealing with people that want to govern, they want to just represent. They don't want to do shit. They just want to collect a check. It's the political operative, who insists that questioning the system is betrayal. These aren't villains. They're tiny ideological operators, man, who never stop chirping. And over time, their noise becomes the soundtrack of the institution, man. While everything else around them falls apart. Let's talk about the part California residents feel every day. The closed loop political system. Here's how it works, right? The state raises taxes for the good of the people, right? And then that money flows into like political aligned nonprofits, unions, contractors. Those groups then donate back to the politicians who funded them. Politicians expand the programs again, and then the cycle repeats. It just keeps repeating itself, regardless of the results, man. It's not a conspiracy. It's a self-reinforcing machine, right? It's brilliant when you think about it, right? It's brilliant. It's brilliant when you think about it. If you're trying to establish some type of institution where you don't get held accountable for shit, right? You get buzzwords like, oh, it's for equity, or it's for the environment, or it's for the homeless, it's for the vulnerable, right? But when the watchdogs, when people start digging into the numbers, they find homelessness spending is up and homelessness is up, right? Climate funds diverted to unrelated projects, and wildfire prevention money goes unspent, and transportation taxes not fixing roads, school funding rising, and test scores are falling. The outcomes don't match the revenue, man. You know, you can be a wood cricket all you want, bro. Like people, you go online and you start telling people, oh, you're betraying this and you're betraying that. But some people look at the math. You don't gotta like it. The gap between what Californians pay and what they get grows wider every year. This is what happens when the parasitic ideas merge with suicidal empathy, man, and they're amplified, right? They're amplified by the wood crickets of society, right? In the system. I want to encourage people just to not be wood crickets, man. The machine doesn't need to solve problems. It only needs to sound compassionate when it's feeding itself. And here's the part the parasites and the wood crickets don't want you to say out loud, man. You're allowed to think for yourself. You're allowed to question policies, demand results, reject all these guilty narratives, and refuse ideological obedience, man. And doing so, it's not a betrayal of your race. It's not betrayal of your own identity. It's establishing your own agency, man. It's saying that you can think for yourself. And you're not abandoning your community. It's the opposite, right? It's honoring your agency. And the one thing the parasitic people hate, and they can't survive without it. If people start thinking about themselves, man, all the parasites, man, are just going to die off. The moment people reclaim their ability to think independently, the loop breaks, man. The wood crickets fall silent, the suicidal empathy loses its grip, and the parasitic mind starves. California doesn't need more outrage, folks. It does not. It needs more clarity, more courage, and more people willing to say, I can care about others without surrendering my own, without surrendering my judgment. That's not rebellion, that's responsibility. The future doesn't belong to the loudest ideology. It belongs to the clearest minds, man. And the moment, we stop apologizing for thinking, and the moment we stop letting the guilt police, police our intelligence, that's the moment California remembers what it was always meant to be. I don't know, man. I just wanted to pick your brains and just kind of leave this here. And if you like my content, subscribe, like, and share, man. You guys enjoy your weekend. And yeah, I'm out. Have a good night.